let us discuss the general characteristic features of the organic compounds. It is a very important topic related to the general organic chemistry. The first character, that is the catenation. Catenation is actually called as the self-linking ability of an atom. And self-linking ability means that the same atoms, they join to form the long chains or branch chain structures or even the ring structures. There are so many elements which show catenation. For example, boron, carbon, nitrogen, silicon, phosphorus and sulfur. So these are the elements that usually show catenation. But if the question is raised that which of the following element shows or has the maximum ability of catenation, then that will be the carbon. So carbon has maximum catenation ability or maximum ability of catenation. This is just because of the reason that carbon single bonds, they are relatively stronger bonds. Nitrogen does not show catenation or silicon does not show catenation up to the extent as shown by the carbon, just because of the reason that silicon single bonds, nitrogen single bond, or phosphorus single bond and sulfur single bonds, they are not as much stable as the carbon single bond is. And that is the main reason for the catenation or the self-linking ability of the carbon. So carbon atoms, they link together to form straight chain structures. They may also form branch chain structures and even they can form ring structures. So this ability of the catenation, it is the reason why there is large number of the organic compounds. Today we can say that more than 7 million organic compounds they exist or they have been discovered, and this large number is just because of the one property of the carbon, and that is the catenation. So this property is responsible for large number and variety of organic compounds. The large number and the large variety of the organic compounds is because of the catenation ability of the carbon or self-linking ability of the carbon. So there are some organic compounds which are straight chain, other are branched, there are structures which are ringed. So this gives huge variety and huge number to the organic compounds. So that was the first property of the organic compounds, that in organic compounds carbon shows the self-linking ability. And you know that carbon is regarded as the skeletal element of all organic compounds. A compound cannot be organic if it does not contain carbon. But keep in mind that all carbon containing compounds, they are not organic in nature, just like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, carbonic acid, metallic cyanides, and so many other bicarbonates, etc. These are all the carbon containing compounds, but still they are regarded as the inorganic compounds because of some historical and conventional reason, and they also do not have the properties of the organic compounds. So this was the first property, general property of the organic compounds. Now let us talk about the second one. It is the solubility. You must have an idea that most of the organic compounds, they are non-polar in nature. As you know that organic compounds largely consist of carbon-carbon atoms and carbon-hydrogen atoms. The difference of electronegativity in case of carbon-carbon atoms, that is 0. While the difference of electronegativity in case of carbon-hydrogen bond, that is 1 point, sorry, it is 0.4. The electronegativity of carbon is 2.5 and that of hydrogen is 2.1 and the difference is 0.4. So in case of carbon-carbon bonds, the difference of electronegativity is 0, so they are perfectly non-polar bonds or 100% covalent bonds. But in case of carbon-hydrogen bonds, the difference of electronegativity is just 0.4, so they are also considered as slightly polar or almost non-polar bonds. Just what I want to say is that most of the organic compounds, they are non-polar in nature, and because they are non-polar in nature, so that's why they will dissolve in the non-polar solvents. So most of the organic compounds, they dissolve in non-polar solvents, especially non-polar organic solvents. And the examples of the non-polar organic solvents are ether, carbon tetrachloride, benzene, toluene, etc. So these are the examples of the non-polar organic solvents, and most of the organic compounds, they are water insoluble. Why? Just because of the reason that they are not polar, rather they are non-polar in nature. And that's why those organic compounds, they get easily dissolved in the non-polar organic solvents like benzene, toluene, ether, etc. Now the third property is melting points and boiling points. As I have already mentioned that most of the organic compounds are non-polar in nature, and you know that the non-polar compounds, they have very weak van der Waal forces. And because of the weak van der Waal forces, organic compounds usually have low melting points and boiling points. Especially when you compare the organic compounds with the inorganic compounds, then the melting and boiling point of organic compounds are very low as compared to the inorganic compounds. Just because of the reason that most of inorganic compounds are polar, they have strong dipole-dipole forces or they have strong hydrogen bonding. That's why their melting and boiling points are high. But in case of the organic compounds, they are usually non-polar, so they consist of weak London dispersion forces, and they, because of these weak London dispersion forces, their melting and boiling points are relatively low as compared to the inorganic compounds. What is the fourth one? It is the stability. Keep in mind that organic compounds are stable in nature. Why? Because they have strong covalent bonds in them. So you cannot say that they have low melting and boiling point, so they are unstable. Melting and boiling point is a physical property. Melting and boiling points are the physical properties, while stability is related to the intramolecular forces. And the intramolecular force in case of the organic compounds is the covalent bond. Covalent bond is a stable bond. So what I want to say is that organic compounds are stable at room temperature. They do not get decomposed at the room temperature. So they are quite stable because of the strong covalent bonds. The fifth character, that is the complexity. Keep in mind that there are certain organic compounds which are very simple, but there is large number of those organic compounds which are very complex. Like the simplest organic compound is methane, CH4. It is simplest organic compound, but there are some organic compounds which are very complex in their structure as well as in their properties. For example, the proteins, nucleic acids, especially DNA. So these are the compounds, organic compounds, proteins and nucleic acids, which are very complex both in their structure as well as in their properties. So the organic compounds have a large range of the compounds, from very simple ones to the very complex ones. Now let us move towards the next property. Sixth one, it is the concept of homologous series. I have already mentioned that because of catenation there is large variety of the organic compounds, and more than 7 million organic compounds have been discovered so far. So do you think, is it possible to study the organic compounds individually? Can you study all the 70 lakh or 7 million organic compounds on the individual basis? It is not possible. So that's why the study of the organic compound is simplified with the concept of the homologous series. So keep in mind that organic compounds are not studied individually, rather the homologous series are studied. In your books you can see that there are chapters with the name alkanes, alkenes, alkynes or hydrocarbons, alkyl halides, ethers, alcohols, phenols. So these are actually the homologous series. You will never see any chapter with the name methane or with the name ethane, because the organic compounds cannot be discussed, cannot be studied on the individual basis. The individual organic compounds, or you cannot study the organic compounds one by one. It is almost impossible to study this large number individually. So what makes the study of the organic compound simple is the concept of the homologous series. The homologous series are made on the basis of the functional groups. So all the compounds having same functional group or functional part, they will be considered in the same homologous series. And when the compounds are in the same homologous series, it means that their chemical properties will be similar, their methods of preparation will be similar, and their physical properties will have a gradual variation. So when you organize the organic compound in the different homologous series, you will not have to study this large number of the organic compounds, rather you will study the limited number of the homologous series, and you will study the general properties of those homologous series, or you will study one or two representatives of that homologous series. Just like in case of alkanes, you do not need to study all the alkanes to understand the basic chemistry of alkanes. Rather, you will study methane, ethane, propane and butane. You will study their methods of preparation, you will study their chemical properties, and you will discuss their physical properties. This study will be applied to the complete homologous series. So when you will apply this concept to all other alkanes, you will get the idea that they have similar methods of preparation, they have similar chemical properties, and they have relatable or gradual variation in their physical properties. So that's why homologous series have simplified the study of the large number of the organic compounds. The seventh one is the isomerism. Organic compounds show the phenomena of isomerism because they have covalent bond which is directional in nature, and that's why, because of the directional bond, they show the property of the isomerism. What is isomerism? Isomerism is actually a phenomena in which two or more than two organic compounds, they have same composition. Composition means they have same molecular formula, but they have different constitution. Different constitution mean different arrangement of atoms or different structural formula. So they have same molecular formula but different constitution mean different connectivity or arrangement of the atoms or groups. And the isomerism is a very commonly observed phenomena in the organic compounds. Almost all classes of the organic compounds, all homologous series of the organic compounds, they show isomerism at some level. And we will discuss this isomerism especially in detail in some more lectures. The eighth property and the very important one is the rate of reaction. As the organic compounds consist of covalent bonds, so the rate of reaction are relatively slow. Because during the reactions or during the reactions of the covalent compounds, the bond formation and bond breakage both take place during the reaction. So when the covalent reactions are involved, the breakage of the bonds in the reactants and the formation of bonds in the products that takes place during the reaction, so it requires some more time. When it requires more time, it means that the reaction will be relatively slower. But in the case of ionic reactions, before the start of the reaction, the species is already ionized. The bonds have already broken down. The lattice has dissociated. And during the reaction, the time will be required just for the formation of the new bonds and it will require lesser time. So we say that ionic reactions are faster as compared to the covalent reactions which are slower one. So organic compounds, because they are covalent in nature, so that's why they show the slow reactions. So the ninth property is the nature. I have already discussed that organic compounds are covalent in their nature. And when I say that organic compounds are covalent in their nature, it means that carbon in most of the organic compound, it forms the covalent bond. The valence shell of the carbon is half filled, mean it has already 4 electrons in its valence shell and 4 more electrons are required to complete its valence shell if we are talking about the octet especially. So the valence shell of the carbon is half filled. It has 4 electrons in it and it mostly shares its electron with the other atoms and it prefers to form the covalent bond. Now the next property, the 10th one, is the combustion. You know that organic compounds are combustible compounds. They show combustion reaction in the presence of excess supply of the air or oxygen. And if the organic compound consists of only carbon and hydrogen, then the products of the combustion are basically water vapors and carbon dioxide. But the product of the combustion, they basically depend upon the composition of the organic compound. If organic compound contains nitrogen as well, then there will be oxide of the nitrogen as the product of combustion. And similarly, if the organic compound just consists of carbon and hydrogen, then the products will be only CO2 and water, and a large amount of the heat will be liberated because combustion is an exothermic process. The 11th one is the source. You know that the major source of the organic compounds are the living organisms. So the natural source of the organic compounds are the living organisms. But nowadays, organic compounds are also synthesized in the laboratory or on the industrial level, especially from the fossil fuels. Then the last one is the electrical conductance. Because organic compounds do not have free electrons, so that's why most of the organic compounds, they are non-conductor. of electricity. And this non-conductivity is basically just because of the non-availability of the free electron. Carbon usually utilizes all of its valence electrons in the bonding, and so no free electrons are available. That's why organic compounds are the poor conductor of the electricity. So my dear student, these are the main general characteristic features of the organic compounds.